Hocus Pocus got a sequel, and I'm really excited about it. And we rewatched the old movie before, like, this week.
Yep.
And so I wanted to draw my favorite character.
I forgot how insufferable every character but the witches is in that
they're the
movie.
best part. The witches are the best part. My favorite character is a zombie. Doug Jones plays him.
Forget how much everyone is eating the scenery. But at least the women playing the witches were good enough actors to mean to.
Yeah, that was on purpose. No, I loved all of the actors that are grown adults. But, yeah, Billy. I love Billy.
Your first boyfriend, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what if we just had, like, Tim Burton, like, on a bad Monday?
Well, we were a little bit confused when we were watching the credits because he played Billy, but didn't play Headless Billy. And I was thinking, like, that's obviously a thing that he can do, and it's because he hadn't had a chance to really do stuff like that before, because the one movie he did before this was a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, it was one of his first roles, so he wasn't quite famous for, like, if you need someone to really act in a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it?
Under 10 pounds of prosthetics.
Yeah, and still emote.
Yeah, because he was Shape of Water. He was Abe Sapien.
Yes.
Pan's Labyrinth. He was the Fawn.
Yep.
Like that's just what he does. And in that first big picture he was in, I don't know that he had any lines, but he was the Thin Clown, I think he's called.
He's in one of the Star Treks too.
He's in so many things.
The series, yeah,
he's in so many things.
And if he passed you on the street, you couldn't recognize him.
I'd like to think that I would. But mostly it's just... But if he's in prosthetics, and you see somebody making the hand motions and moving a certain way in 10,000 pounds of prosthetics, you're like, oh, that's Doug Jones.
Yeah,
I know who that is. I recognize him under there. But I appreciate him. And I liked learning that I'm not the only one who had a crush on the zombie. Apparently that's like a thing. That a lot of people were like, oh, I adored him. I wanted him to be my boyfriend.
Well, I mean, what's the counter argument in that movie? Because you have hair curtains number 1, hair curtains number 2, the bullies.
Well, in my age demographic at the time the movie came out, I was supposed to be attracted to one of the hair curtains.
Either medieval Jonathan Taylor Thomas or modern day Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Right. And I wasn't interested in either one of them. I wanted Zombie Boy and or Hot Witch Girl. Like, because I was bisexual, and even as a small child, I was like, no, I know what I'm attracted to. I'm attracted to crazy, sexy ladies and the weirdo boys.
See, Hocus Pocus, even as a kid who liked spooky stuff, I bounced off of it. It was not my thing. At the time, I was delving into, like, I don't want to call it more serious horror, but like comedy horror, like I hadn't found the appeal yet.
Well, I loved comedy horror because I loved Beetlejuice. You know, I loved everything that was like dark, but people are laughing about it. I loved that. Death Becomes Her is another one. I don't know what year that was. That was 90s, wasn't it?
89 or 92, somewhere in there. Bruce Willis still had hair.
Because that's a good one. And I loved that one a lot. And that one is very dark. And extremely violent.
That one was just like, even at the time, they didn't really make movies like that. Now they definitely don't make movies like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a weird little movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how would you cut a trailer for that nowadays?
I don't know. But I loved it.
Can you imagine being a trailer house and getting, like, the cut of Beetlejuice, being like, give me 30 seconds that tells me what this movie's about?
Well, also, Beetlejuice at the time was PG.
Yeah.
And it would not be now.
No.
He says the F word twice.
There's smoking. There's a brothel.
There's a grabbing of genitalia.
Yep.
You know, but it was PG.
Nice model.
Yeah. So I love that movie.
That is good shading on the cauldron.
Thank you. And Hocus Pocus was one of those films where I was just like, this is my aesthetic. This is me as a movie. Even though I only liked the villains and dead people, apparently. That's not great.
I think part of it was, like, growing up, I was allowed to watch PBS and Star Trek. So
So you're not going to go for a Disney
when
film.
I was coming out of that, I just was just like, give me Hellraiser and like Freddy and Jason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Disney has a horror movie? Eh.
See, I grew up with a lot of Disney, but I also grew up with a lot of horror.
Which I didn't realize, like Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
Like if I had seen Black Cauldron, I think it would have been like, okay, Disney can do horror.
Yeah, the movie that Disney likes to pretend they didn't do.
Is Dark Star Supernova? There's another one that almost bankrupted Disney that they don't like to remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a space one. It was very dark also. They were trying to get away from being just an animation studio, and it blew up horribly.
But this is another one that is Disney.
Yeah.
And they tried... I say tried. They thought about making a sequel over a decade ago.
They've been wanting to make money off of this since it became a cult classic,
Yeah.
but...
Because it didn't make money at first.
But they didn't want to spend any money on it either.
Well, that was the thing. So the first idea they had for a sequel was completely unrelated at all. It was an entirely different story, entirely different characters.
Yeah.
There was no reason for it to be a sequel. And then years later, they're like, okay, we can do a sequel with the witches, everyone, just Sanderson sisters, everyone's clamoring for, but we're not going to cast the original women because they're famous and too much money, and we're not going to do it. And I think the other logic was the age.
I mean, even at the time, they did not pay Bette Midler what she's worth.
No.
100% they got her on the cheap because she's just like, yeah, kids movie, cool.
It'll be fun. But now they're finally able to do it with the original cast, and that's, I think, the most exciting part, especially because they're also including Doug Jones as Billy, and he's coming back. I love it.
Yeah.
And he's in the trailer, and I'm sure that means he's only going to be in like 2 seconds, but whatever. He's there, and that makes me happy.
Doug Jones gets paid.
That's like all I ask.
This is lovely. We didn't talk much about your art, but I do love it.
Thank you.
I love his skin tones. I love the book details.
I made him a little greener than he is in the movie, but I like him. I love this boy.
Yes. A very good Hocus and Pocus.
Thank you. And we've got a Binks in there.
Yeah.
Who is only valid as a cat. I don't like him when he's back to being a little dude.
Happy Halloween and rock on.